Parents of a 12-year-old girl are calling for state lawmakers to take action after their daughter was allegedly sexually assaulted in school.
Yeah, the family wants to press criminal charges, but as Project Baltimore's Chris Papps explains, following a recent change in state law, they can't.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Hope you're all having a great and wonderful day. Well, what we have here is a story about a mother's daughter being sexually assaulted due to the fact that the school is incompetent. And it's not just the school's being incompetent, but it's also the school just being, it's also Maryland, the actual city in itself, not punishing criminals correctly, or juvenile criminals in this situation, because they want to be protective, right? They want to be protective of the kids. Yet when they ever bring up the actual laws or what have you, it's the exact opposite. They don't protect anyone. They're just wanting to be nice or look like nice people, but in reality, it's just another stupid ploy of trying to protect criminals and be nice to criminals, even though that is just all completely stupid. And with this here, you kind of understand onto why this is ongoing.
I've become a very angry person, unfortunately. I will fight tooth and nail to protect my daughter, and she is not currently protected.
Who do you blame?
Maryland and the school.
So here you have a mother that is angry because of the school and the actual city itself, Maryland, and not protecting her daughter because of stupid actual policies. She was bullied and also went to sexual harassment, which went on to being actual physical because the school can't do anything because of the actual laws, and the school refuses to expel the kid. So you kind of get the understanding here of what she's going through and what is actually happening within the school and the city itself of Maryland.
Wilson's daughter, who we are not showing, attends Western Heights Middle School in Washington County. Starting last fall, Wilson says a boy at her school began bullying the 12-year-old and some of her friends. The family worked with the school to try to address the issue, but the bullying, Wilson says, worsened and began to include sexual harassment. In late March, it turned physical.
He walked across the hall to her, grabbed her breast, and ran away. She just kind of had a total breakdown right there in the hallway. She was terrified to go back after that.
Wilson filed a bullying, harassment, or intimidation report in April with the school, which investigated and substantiated the allegations that Wilson's daughter was targeted. That same month, Wilson filed this peace order with the Department of Juvenile Services, claiming her daughter was a victim of a sexual offense.
So yeah, what you get here is that you see that the girl was dealing with bullying, and then it led into sexual harassment, into actual physical contact, which led to the groping of her breast, which should never be accepted whatsoever. Unfortunately, when it comes down to Baltimore, or rather Maryland, they don't really care about that, because obviously it's due to economically disadvantaged students. So, again, what we have with this here is that Baltimore City Public Schools has a high percentage of students from economically disadvantaged backgrounds and faces significant challenges, including funding shortfalls and low academic performance. A recent $48 million loss in federal COVID-19 relief funds has led to cuts in crucial programs like tutoring and after-school activities. Additionally, BCPS is among the lowest performing large schools and districts in the nation, despite high levels of funding. Yes, because funding is obviously fixing this issue. Again, we have this here where high poverty rates, where they talk about that, and then funding challenges, and then academic performance, which they have that, and then the impact on students and community concerns. But again, this is one of the reasons why they end up doing this, because stupidity is the greatest part of Baltimore. And you end up finding out here that the enrollment by gender is that it has a minority enrollment by of 58%, while 43.3% is white, and the 23% and below are all other of minorities. So you kind of get the gist of what's going on here in Baltimore. But of course, there is still more to this, right? So again, we have this here to where Baltimore in general is that economically disadvantaged generally refers to individuals or families who lack the resources and opportunities considered necessary for a comfortable standard of living. often due to low income or limited access to essential services. This can manifest in various ways, including inadequate housing, healthcare, or educational opportunities, and can stem from factors like poverty, unemployment, or lack of access to financial resources. So that's what we have here is the economically disadvantaged people, and they use this to justify these issues. Again, when we go over here where the actual enrollment by gender, you get to see this. And then as well, one of the big things that we have to talk about this here is that the age problem, right? So the age is raised to the juvenile justice reform, which juveniles raise the minimum age to 8 to 13, that juveniles can be charged with certain crimes, even sexual crimes. So that being said, it doesn't look good here. It's pretty bad. So, and with the issue that we have here is that the kid that did this crime is 12 years old. So he doesn't meet the threshold of the actual sexual assault charges. So he gets to go roam and be free about this. And to make it even worse, guys, say like, oh, you're just hating. No, this Baltimore, Maryland is predominantly a Democratic city. This is reflected in election results and the political affiliations of its elected officials. So yeah, you can probably miss with me that BS, but Baltimore is heavily Democratic, and you get these Democratic policies, which a lot of the leftists advocate for, and then this is the result.
In June, the peace order was granted. But then, when Wilson went to police to file fourth-degree sex offense charges against the juvenile, she was told nothing could be done because the alleged assailant is too young.
If he just is allowed to do this and nothing happens, what is he going to do when he is older? And it's teaching my daughter that it's just okay. He can do these things to her and there's no consequences. But in the meantime, she's the one having the panic attacks and going to see the doctor.
The reason Wilson's daughter could not press charges goes back to 2022.
Juvenile court was never intended to mediate schoolyard squabbles or mete out punishment for childish mistakes.
Senate Bill 691, Juvenile Justice Reform.
That year, the Maryland General Assembly passed the Juvenile Justice Reform Bill.
There being 94 votes in the affirmative, Senate Bill 691, having received the constitutional majority, is declared passed.
Supporters, including the Maryland Office of the Public Defender, argued the state needed to find ways to reduce the number of incarcerated juveniles.
What we know is that when you take low-level offenders and you take them out of their home and put them with more criminogenic peers, things get worse.
The Juvenile Justice Reform Bill raised the minimum age at which juveniles can be charged with certain crimes to 13. One of those crimes was fourth-degree sex offense. The juvenile who allegedly assaulted Wilson's daughter is 12, meaning criminal charges cannot be filed. Then Governor Larry Hogan opposed the bill, arguing juveniles must be held accountable. But the legislature passed a law with veto-proof margins, and it took effect.
Yeah. So what we have here is that we have a Democratic senator that has gone out of her way to protect criminals and to essentially protect a child predator at this point, because obviously if this was not a child predator, they wouldn't be doing this. So the bill will pretty much enact to where this kid cannot be charged. And again, if we look at this map here, where comes Baltimore, you end up finding out that everywhere around it is pretty much blue. It's pretty much what you seem as a Democratic stronghold. So I don't see to where you could blame Republicans or anybody else about this, because the only other evidence there is that it's a heavily Democratic area, and this place is just not good for anybody involved. So blame the Democrats for this. Now, we go on to say that this girl, that the kid that was assaulted, sexually assaulted, mind you, she's forced to go back to school with the person that just sexually assaulted her. And I don't know about you, but if the kid seems he's able to get away with such a horrible act, that you might end up finding out that it may advance to something much worse, which will be gone into maybe what we call grape. And since I I don't want to see that or deal with that. The parents only have a couple of options here: to either leave the actual place that they have or go to private school, because there is no other way to where her kid can possibly feel safe, considering the fact that the person that just assaulted her is still at that school. And about you, I feel very understanding of the child, of not wanting to go back to the person that just assaulted her, because he'll most likely continue doing it again, and it will probably progress to what we all deem to be much worse. So the mother is probably doing the correct thing by private schooling her, because that would be her safe and best method to maybe protect her child from being assaulted by something that Maryland/Baltimore won't do, and neither will the school.
When your kid goes to school and doesn't feel safe, that's an issue. She feels like nobody is going to keep her safe, that it's okay for people to assault you.
Wilson's daughter, in the fall, is set to return to the same school with the person she says sexually assaulted her. But she does not want to go back. The family is looking into alternatives, including private school, to keep their daughter safe, because they say Maryland won't.
As a mom, what's this do to you?
It kills me to see my daughter feeling unworthy and dirty and terrified to go to school and learn and to be herself, and to see her just being knocked down and feeling like she's not worth anything, and that people don't want to help her, that she's not worth keeping safe, just kills me.
And that's the thing with the Democrats. They don't actually care about you, and they don't care about your children. They don't care about anything. She has the right and she's correct to feel that nobody wants to protect her, because Democrats don't want to protect her. Because the only thing that Democrats do is they prioritize criminals over civilians over anything else. And they'll play this emotional manipulation game to where they try to comfort you and say, like, oh no, we actually care about you. Meanwhile, writing laws that go directly against your own safety of well-being and everything else. So it's the Democrats that don't care about you. They don't care about anything because they want to feel great and protect the criminals, but they don't understand by protecting the criminals, you're not protecting the actual citizens that are doing things that are good and not committing crimes. So this is the result of this bill. End up coming out 3 years down the line, somebody end up getting assaulted, and there's probably a lot more other cases in this instance to where this happened, where this bill is being affected, but it's affecting other kids. So again, this is something that is part of the Democratic mantra, and people are going to have to get used to. I'm hoping that this sparks another revolt to push back against the Democratic narrative, because it's insane that we have these people putting up these bills and actually harming people in the process. All right, guys, that's it for the video. Like to share, as always. Take care, my friends.